There's something happening to you every single morning, and you have never once questioned it. You step into a small enclosed room, you turn on the hot water, steam fills the air, you breathe it in, you let it wash over your face, your chest, your skin, and you walk out thinking you are cleaner than when you walked in. But here is what nobody ever told you. That steam carries something invisible, something that has been dissolving into your bloodstream for decades. And the solution costs less than a cup of coffee. You may have noticed things about your body that have slowly changed over the years. Your skin feels a little drier than it used to. Your scalp itches after you shower, not before. Your eyes feel slightly irritated in the morning. Your hair breaks more easily than it did 5 years ago. You have probably blamed aging. You have blamed the weather. You have blamed stress, or your diet, or the shampoo you switched to last spring. But what if none of those things were the real cause? What if the answer was hiding in plain sight every single morning right there in your bathroom? Most people spend more time thinking about what they eat than what they absorb. And that gap in awareness is not an accident. It is the result of decades of incomplete information, regulatory blind spots, and industries that have quietly, collectively, profited from your confusion. This is not a conspiracy. It is something more uncomfortable than that. It is ordinary neglect dressed up as safety. And once you understand what is actually happening inside your shower, you cannot unsee it. Let us start with the water itself. In the United States, virtually every municipal water supply is treated with chlorine. This is not a secret. Water utilities openly disclose it. Chlorine is a powerful disinfectant. It kills bacteria. It prevents waterborne disease. It has, without question, saved millions of lives over the past century. Nobody serious is arguing against water treatment. But chlorine does something else, something that the public health conversation has almost entirely skipped over. When chlorine reacts with organic matter naturally present in pipes and water sources, it creates a family of chemical compounds called trihalomethanes. The most common of these is chloroform. And chloroform, according to the International Agency for Research on Cancer, is classified as a possible human carcinogen. Now, you might be thinking, I filter my water, I drink from a pitcher filter, I buy bottled water, and maybe you do. But here's the part that changes everything. Drinking chlorinated water is not actually your primary route of exposure. A landmark study by Dr. Julian Andelman, a professor of water chemistry at the University of Pittsburgh, found that a 10-minute hot shower exposes you to as much chlorination byproduct as drinking 2 liters of tap water in a single day. Not from drinking, from showering. And a separate study published by researchers at the American Chemical Society found that household exposure to volatile chemicals through showering and bathing could be 6 to 100 times higher than from drinking the same water. 6 to 100 times. Let that settle in for a moment. The reason this happens comes down to heat and physics. At room temperature, chlorine and its byproducts are mostly dissolved and relatively stable in water. But when you heat that water to the temperature most people shower at, around 104 degrees Fahrenheit, the chemistry shifts dramatically. Up to half of the dissolved chloroform vaporizes off the surface of the water. Your shower head then atomizes that water into millions of microscopic droplets, exponentially increasing the surface area and releasing even more vapor into the enclosed space around you. Your bathroom door is closed, the fan may not be running, the vapor concentrates, and your body, warm and wet, becomes remarkably receptive to absorbing it. Here is something most people do not realize about their own skin. Warm, wet skin is approximately 4 times more permeable than cold, dry skin. Your pores have opened. Your blood vessels have dilated. Your lungs are working harder, pulling in more air with every breath. The chloroform vapor you inhale passes directly through the alveoli of your lungs and straight into your bloodstream, bypassing the liver entirely. The chlorine your skin absorbs follows a similar pathway. Studies measuring blood chloroform levels have found that they spike higher after a hot shower than after drinking the same water. You have been filtering your drinking water while bathing in what you were trying to avoid. And this is not a new discovery. A researcher named Dr. Helene Brown published findings in the American Journal of Public Health back in 1984, concluding that skin absorption of contaminants in water had been systematically underestimated, and that drinking the water might not even be the primary route of exposure. That paper was published over 40 years ago. It sat in academic libraries. The general public never heard about it. The regulations were never updated to reflect it. There is still no federal standard for inhaled chlorine in a closed bathroom. There is still no federal standard for dermal absorption during a hot shower. The Safe Drinking Water Act protects you when you drink. It does not protect you when you bathe. Think about what that means over a lifetime. 1 shower a day is 365 chemical exposure events per year. Over 40 years, that is nearly 15,000 exposures. Over a lifetime, the number climbs toward 50,000. And not one of those exposures was labeled. Not one came with a warning. You were simply told the water was safe, and safe was defined by standards written for drinking, not for bathing. Now consider the industries built around the downstream effects of this problem. The global skincare market is worth roughly $180 billion. A significant portion of that revenue comes from products designed to treat dry, irritated, itchy skin. Prescription moisturizers, hydrocortisone creams, anti-itch treatments, follow-up dermatology appointments. A senior adult with clinically diagnosed dry skin can spend hundreds of dollars a year managing symptoms that nobody is tracing back to their water. And the question that almost never gets asked during a dermatology consultation is this: what kind of water do you shower in? It is not that dermatologists are dishonest. Most of them are doing exactly what their training prepared them to do. But medicine is structured around treatment, not source elimination. And when the source of a problem is something as mundane and universal as a morning shower, it simply does not appear on the diagnostic radar. So the symptoms get treated, the appointments continue, the creams get refilled, the root cause stays invisible. The same pattern plays out with water filtration. Shower filter companies sell products at premium prices, often between $25 and $60 per cartridge, with replacement filters required every few months. Many of these filters use activated carbon as their primary medium. And activated carbon does work, but it works best at lower temperatures. Your shower runs at roughly 104 degrees. At that temperature, carbon loses a significant portion of its effectiveness. Some studies suggest it can actually release captured chemicals back into the water stream as it becomes saturated. You may be paying for a sense of protection that diminishes faster than the label suggests. So what actually works? The answer has been sitting in nutrition stores and online retailers for years, largely unnoticed for this particular application. It is ascorbic acid. Vitamin C, pure, food-grade powder that costs approximately $3 for enough to last months. The chemistry behind it is elegant and well documented. 1 gram of ascorbic acid neutralizes 1 milligram per liter of chlorine across 100 gallons of water. The reaction is nearly instantaneous in hot water. The byproducts are dihydroascorbic acid and harmless chloride ions. Nothing toxic, nothing synthetic. The American Water Works Association officially added ascorbic acid as an approved dechlorination method in 2005. The San Francisco Public Utilities Commission uses vitamin C to dechlorinate water before releasing it back into natural waterways. Hospital dialysis units use it to remove chlorine from water before it comes anywhere near a patient's blood. The application is not experimental. It is established chemistry. What this means practically is straightforward. A small amount of ascorbic acid powder placed in the path of your shower stream neutralizes the chlorine before it reaches your skin and vaporizes into the air you breathe. You do not need expensive equipment. You do not need a contractor. You can fill a small mesh bag with a teaspoon of the powder and hang it so the shower stream passes through it. You can purchase an inline vitamin C shower filter for $15 to $20 and refill the cartridge with bulk powder every few months. The total annual cost lands somewhere between $15 and $30. Compare that to what most people spend on skin creams alone in a single month. Results reported across dermatology patient literature are consistent. Post-shower itching tends to fade within the first week for most people. Eye redness after showering often disappears almost immediately. Hair brittleness improves over 2 to 4 weeks. Morning chest tightness, where it was triggered by chlorine vapor, frequently resolves within the first few days. These are not medical claims. They are chemistry outcomes. When the irritant is removed, the irritation stops. That is not a treatment. That is a solution. The science has been available since 1984. The regulatory gap has been known for decades. The remedy is inexpensive, accessible, and effective. What was missing was simply someone telling you clearly, without selling you something expensive, that the problem existed and that the fix was already within reach. You have been walking into the same room every morning your entire life. You have never questioned what was in the air. That changes now. And the awareness you carry out of this video is something worth passing on to someone in your life whose skin has been itching for years, who has been buying creams that help a little but never fully, who has never once thought to look at the water. Share this with them, because the most powerful shifts in health rarely come from the most expensive solutions. Sometimes they come from finally asking the right question about the most ordinary parts of your day. If this perspective resonated with you, if it changed the way you see something you thought you already understood, then subscribe to Secret Fix Vault. This is where the overlooked becomes visible, where the ordinary gets examined, and where simple, evidence-grounded insights like this one find the audience they deserve. There is more where this came from, and it is always closer than you think.